Now, the Reserve Bank Governor today also raced out a massive rescue package, including $90 billion of cheap money for banks to lend and, I hope, to keep afloat. Here's Philip Lowe.
Today's package has 4 elements. These are a reduction in the cash rate to 0.25%, a target of 0.25% for the yield on 3-year government bonds, a term funding facility to support credit to businesses, especially small and medium-sized businesses, and an adjustment to the interest rate on accounts that financial institutions hold at the RBA.
But the Reserve Bank Governor warned that many of us will lose jobs, and he asked employers to try what they could to be flexible so that they and the country has the staff in place for when the coronavirus passes.
We're also expecting significant job losses. The scale of those losses will depend upon the ability of businesses to keep workers on during this challenging period. We saw during the global financial crisis how flexibility in working arrangements limited job losses, and this benefited the entire community. And I hope the same is going to be true in the months ahead. It's also important to repeat that we are expecting a recovery once the virus is contained. The timing and strength of that recovery will depend upon how successful we are as a nation in building that bridge to the...
Joining me to explain what the Reserve Bank has done is ADAM.CREIGHTON, Economics Editor for the Australian newspaper. Adam, thanks so much again for your time. Sum up for us what the bank is going to do.
Yeah, certainly. So there are 3 parts to what the Reserve Bank is going to do. The first is cutting the cash rate. The 2 interesting parts are the launching of a quantitative easing package, which basically means that the central bank will be buying billions and billions of government bonds to keep interest rates lower. And the interesting aspect of the package, which you mentioned earlier, is this $90 billion of cheap loans, which the central bank will be providing to banks. Now, that basically means banks can borrow from the RBA at 0.25%, and then they can lend on to small and medium-sized businesses to try to keep those businesses afloat. This is along the lines of something the Bank of England has also done this week. I think they've announced £330 billion of cheap loans in that country. Obviously, it's a bigger economy. But look, I think the bottom line with all this is it's really about confidence. It's about convincing both households and also businesses that the financial system is fine, that it's stable. I think the last thing we want now is for this very real economic crisis to infect the financial system as well. And I think that is what we have to hope for. At the end of the day, this is a deliberate economic shutdown. So the government shutting down the economy with one hand, it can't really reverse it with the other hand. It's got to live with its decision.
Gee, a grim reading there. Will this actually be enough? Now, of course, we've had last week's stimulus package was sort of like went blowing in the wind. 18 billion sounded a big number. Now it's like nothing. We've got this, and next week the government will have another lifeline to businesses to keep them afloat. We don't know how much that'll be. Anything, I don't know. People are talking about $100 billion. Yeah. Will this collectively stem the bloodletting that we're seeing?
Well, look, that's a very difficult question. I wish I knew the answer. I think there's more uncertainty over the global economy now than there has ever been. I think even more than in 2009, because the infection rate, the spread rate is just so unknowable. Certainly, I think there'll be another federal government package which will entail some sort of wage subsidy scheme. I know that in the financial crisis, Germany pursued a policy like that, which was considered at the time fairly effective. The problem with these general wage subsidy policies is they're extremely expensive, and so they'll lead to an enormous increase in debt by the federal government, which of course has a lot of problems of itself down the track. My view is we have to realise that we can't offset the economic shutdown. We have to live with it, and we have to think that we're going to have to live with all these policies and these decisions when the virus eventually passes.
ADAM.CREIGHTON, one thing we're going to have to live with is a mountain of debt. I don't know that we're ever going to see another government with a surplus like we did with the Howard government. That is gone. ADAM.CREIGHTON, thank you so much indeed for your time.
Thanks, Andrew.